Hello, my name is Phoebe. Welcome back to my cross stitch channel, to my Flosstube. This is a channel about cross stitch, and basically I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I stitched on and all of my stitchy thoughts in the last 2 weeks. I will also talk about books at the very end of the video in case you are not interested in that. So I have a lot of whips this week. There's going to be even more in my next video, which I upload every 2 weeks, because Mania is upon us, and I have always participated in Mania since starting my channel. Well, this will just be my 3rd year doing it, but basically I stitch on a different project for this year it's going to be 24 days of May, and this year I'm putting in previous whips, so I'm not going to be just starting a whole bunch of new projects, which I feel really good about because I really love all my projects. So did I have any new starts this week? Oh, I guess I did have one new start, but I'm going to save it for Mania because it's like continuing on a series that I had already started. So when I say whips, that means work in progress. So I didn't have any finishes this time, but I do have lots of works in progress. So let's talk about those. So the first project I want to show you is my 2 strands a day. So after I finished Happy Heart Sampler, I decided to go with my oldest whip that was not yet finished, obviously, because it's a whip. And so I have Halloween This Way by the Primitive Hare. And as you can see, I am slowly but surely making progress. I think the last time you saw this, I had just outlined this guy. I got all of the white in there, and then I've just been filling in that black, and it is taking a very long time, but it does make for easy stitching that I don't have to look at the pattern for, so that's nice. So I think that there are 2 more signs below that one. The next one's going to be a big green one, so that's exciting, and I just love this piece. I'm stitching it on 30 count big spell from Primitive Hare, and I think it's going to be so cute, and I will have it done by Halloween this year. That's hard to imagine that my 2 strands a day stretching all the way till October. So I actually pulled this from my Mania whips from the last 2 years. It was in like my number 3 or 4 spot or something. I pulled it, and because it's going to be my 2 strands a day. So I'm using the called for flosses. I'm doing 2 strands over 2 on this big count, and let's just pull in on the part I did this time. So 2 strands a day means that before I stitch on anything else, I do 2 full strands of floss wherever I want to stitch on that day. And since I'm doing 2 over 2, that means, 2 strands and then 2 strands. That makes sense. So anyway, yes, I'm loving it. I think this is one of the projects that I random rolled with you last video. I always pick something at random from all of my whips to stitch on. This is Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs, and I love it. I think that I have a few of the called for flosses in here, but then anything that I didn't have in stash, I just supplemented from stash. And this is a piece of 28 count linen that I over dyed with these peachy pink colors, and so I'm doing 2 strands on this one, so it's very full, and 2 strands over 2 on 28 count linen, and I love it. I know a lot of people are stitching on this right now, and it gets me really excited to pull mine out whenever I see them. So the top band is basically all done. There might be like a few little things in there, but I can't remember. I did go ahead and start in on some of the satin stitches. The whole top satin stitch border is done. I do stitch in hand, so I don't have to worry about those getting messed up. And I did put in a number of the specialty stitches. There are Smyrna crosses, and basically everything up here surrounding the flowers that are not part of the other part of the flowers. So it's just the little things floating in the air up there are specialty stitches. So I really love this piece. It is part of my Mania still, so you will see it again this month. And if you are interested in any of the specialty flosses that make for the really cool variegation in this piece, like this flower, just let me know and I can get you my conversion. On the 21st of each month, I always stitch on the piece that my older daughter picked out for me to stitch. The 21st is her birthday, not of May, but I stitch on this every 21st. And this is Fraktur Flowers by Barrick, and I love it. I'm doing half of the called for MPI silks, and then the ones that I didn't have, I just put in some other colors, like the golds, I think, are not MPI, and the light minty blue-green is not. So mainly this time I filled out all the lettering, brought it down to there, and yeah, I think that's pretty much what I did this time. And I really enjoy it. I love stitching with MPI. So this is a piece of 40 count that I dyed this rich kind of toffee color, and so I'm doing 1 strand over 2, and I find that MPI at 1 strand is still really full and luscious looking, so I love it. The other project that was a random draw from my whip wheel is Needlework Press and Be Kind to One Another. And so this is as wide as the pattern's gonna be, and then it's gonna go down, down, down. I do plan to eventually doing the 2 other companion pieces to this one. So there are not very many flosses in here. We mostly have primary colors, and again, I just pulled from stash, and if I didn't have what was called for, then I put in my own color, and I love how it's turning out. I don't know what else you need to know about this one. I have to say, as much as I love this pattern, after I got through like all these letters and stuff, I was kind of pooped out on this one. I was ready to stitch on something a little bit more interesting, but it is really pretty. So this is stitched on a piece of 40 count that I over dyed. It's kind of like a gray cream. And so I'm doing 1 strand over 2, and it's coming along really nicely. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. On the 25th of the month, I like to stitch on something Christmassy, so I got out my Prairie Schooler Santas, and so here are the 2 other ones that I've done, and then I started 2019. So he had been started previously, so this is the one with the sheep, and it's so pretty with the little swirling space in there. And I'm using all the same flosses across all the Santas, and they're all gonna be on this, I think it's called Stormy Night. It's just this Weigert printed fabric. And I'm using all the called for, except the richer red is Schoolhouse Red from Gentle Arts. So it brings in some nice variegation. Oh, actually I think both of the reds, because you can see the other red over here. Both of the reds are variegated floss. But for the rest, I'm using DMC, and I've been really enjoying stitching these Santas on the 40 count. They're going to be nice and tiny and sweet, and I probably won't start finishing these Santas up, like fully finishing them, till we get closer to Christmas. But this one also is, it's on my 23 day of Mania, so you'll see this one again this month. Maybe I'll finish him up that day. So, really love him. This next whip is a full coverage piece. This is Grand Library charted by Heaven and Earth. And this one was taking a break. It was taking a break, but I decided I wanted to get it out and stitch on it in these last 2 weeks. So last time you saw this, that little kind of like sun thing that you can see poking through was the edge of where I was. I was like that. So I put in 2 full diagonals here. If you want to learn more about diagonal parking, I learned this method from Brian at Blitz Stitch. So definitely go check him out. He explains it very well with diagrams and everything. So I'm using Markup XP app. I could not stitch on this pattern without it. And I go diagonal. I go down diagonal through the chart and park so that I don't have lines going through the piece. So as you can see, I'm starting to get this little dragon wing. It makes it so much more exciting now that I'm just out of this kind of mauvey purple darkness that I was, and now I'm pulling in the shaping of, I think this is branch and then the dragon wing. So it's it's really, really fun. I do have a few stitches missing because I was missing some colors. I had pulled them from like the massive stash of DMC that this project uses. Oh, this is a piece of 28 count even weave, and so I'm doing 1/1 on it because otherwise it was going to be huge. I mean, it's already going to be absolutely huge, but keeps going. But yeah, I think that that is the main reason why this one doesn't come out more, is because it's a little bit tedious for me since the stitches are prone to slip a little bit. But I am liking it a lot more now that I have more in on it. So I think I spent like 3 days on this one and got the 2 diagonals done, and I'm very happy that I did. On the 30th of each month, I stitch on a piece that my second daughter chose for me to stitch that she really loves. This is Blackberry House by Plum Street Sampler. And another project this time that I was, sorry for the hanging thread, that I was doing a lot of fill-in. So I had pretty much mocked out this whole urn or vase that you've got going on here. So this time I was just vertically up and down, 1 stitch at a time, because it's a beautiful variegated floss, and filling this whole puppy out. So that was just 1 day of stitching. All I was doing was filling in. I also did the outlining of that color along that side. And as you can see, I pulled in here. But yep, all I did was stitch with that floss. This is stitched on a 40 count fabric and flare called Petal, Dried Petal. And this is using all of the called for flosses. This is as wide as it's going to be. I absolutely love it. I always start top left-hand corner, but this one I started bottom left, finished the whole bottom alphabet portion, and then we're gonna make our way up from there. So I really do love this piece, and I think that the colors look really nice on this dried petal too. So this comes out every 30th if you're wondering when you'll get your next update on it. So the 4 whips left are my first 4 days of Mania 2024, and my new start is this one. I am continuing the Loose Feathers series. I've done 1 and 2. So for my day 1 of Mania, I replaced last year's piece that was in this series with this one. So here is how far I got. This is May 1st stitching only. And all the patterns use the same flosses. Some might have like 1 new color or something, but once you collect up the flosses for the first or second, I think you should probably be pretty good to go. So this is a piece of 32 count even weave that I overdyed. The second one in the series is on this fabric. The first one was not. The first one was on a loose weaved 32 count that I didn't really care for that much. It was hard to get tension on. So since then I switched to this for 32 count, and I'm enjoying it. I do want them all to be approximately the same size. So yeah, so it's a pretty fast going stitch, as you can see with how much I was able to get done in the 1 day. So I am doing 1 strand over 32 for this series though. I want it to look more prim. And so this will be my day 1. So day 2 for last year was Halloween This Way from Primitive Hare, which I had already mentioned that I am moving out of my Mania spots to put in something else. So this big lovely lady just made her way in. This is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I hope to have a finish on this one very soon. I love her so much, and I also see everyone stitching on this and just want to get to work on her. So if you have been with me for a while, the thing that will look new to you is this whole roof. Another pattern that I just did, fill in, fill in, fill in. So, I mean, that's great Mania stitching because you can get a pretty good patch in and you're not just looking at the pattern constantly. So I was going horizontally, which is not my favorite. I like to go up and down more because of my stitching. I do the sewing method and I just prefer that way, but I wanted the horizontal lines on the roof. So that's what we did. I'm using the called for flosses, even conch, because this is on a blue, kind of wintry sky blue piece of, I think this is 28 count even weave. and that I over dyed, and it is very thick and actually really nice to stitch on. So this is another piece that I'm doing just one strand on, and I'm really enjoying that. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I didn't realize till after I did it that I put BA for Barbara Adams, and so I was trying to figure out if I should rip it out, but my mother's name is Beverly Ann, and then I need to decide if I want to put her maiden name initial there or her married name, probably her married name. So I think I'm going to leave it, and then I'll put another letter in here. It's going to be crowding that bird just a little bit, and I also need to look at the design again and see if that will fit in there. Maybe it won't even fit, so I'll have to move some stuff around. Maybe I will put it straight down, because otherwise it'll be probably over a little bit, and I'll move the bird or something. So Kim could help me do that. Kim, you inspire me to move stuff around when it doesn't exactly fit what I need. So this is going to be my day 2 Mania. So we'll have a new stitchy randomizer this year where I'm not constantly having to respin because I've already finished the project, because everything on my Mania plans is not finished as we start the new year. So this is Winter Rose Manor. For day 3 of Mania this year, I have put in my one Carolyn Manning. I have a lot of her patterns because I really like her designs, but I've only started this one because I don't want to have a whole bunch on the go. So I decided to put this in my day 3 to hopefully help me get it done. So this is stitched on a piece of stone, I think. Yeah, stone from Fabric and Flare. So it's pretty small, 40 count stitching. And on this go around, I loaded this into Markup XP, and it is going to help me so much because basically it changes, the color changes every line pretty much, and then it only goes this long. Some of them are twice as long, but it's like a lot of just short lines, which I really, really like. But for stitching, it becomes really easy to lose your place. So I really love the Markup XP app. If you have an Apple product, I think you will too. Especially for designers who do a lot of PDFs, it makes it so easy to just load it right in there, and then you can mark off what you're doing as you go. And so actually on this day, a lot of my time was spent working in the Markup XP app and marking off everything that I'd already done. I did do some stitching, like I brought the orange over a little bit more or something. I just realized that that's been the wrong way the whole time, but that's the fun of it. I'm like, wait a second, the words aren't even straight. Yeah, so sometimes you can't tell which way it goes. So anyway, yeah, that's how it actually looks. So I brought the orange over, and then I was filling in more, but then a lot of it was just making sure the app was right where I was at. So this is gonna be in my day 3 spot. This is all the called for DMC. Gorgeous pattern. Has anyone tried any of the new Manning watercolor flower patterns? I haven't picked any of them up just because I already have so many of her designs. But if you have and if you've stitched on them, let me know what you think because I'm very intrigued by them. Day 4 for Mania 2024 is going to be the Swans from Cottage House Samplings. So day 4 for last year was the Fox in the same series, and I'm stitching it on the same piece of fabric. This I think is a 16 count. Picture this plus, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember what it is right now. I'll put it on the screen when I find it. So I would like to stitch all the winter ones on the same piece. So I'll definitely have enough, and I'd have a little bit more to do, like a ornament or something on it. So I'm gonna put the Swans in day 4. Now this one's gonna be a little different than the Fox. I used all of the called for flosses on that one. This pattern was started in my era of wanting to put fun variegated flosses in place of DMC sometimes. So this has the 2 called for, which is Grecian gold, or maybe it's heirloom gold, I think it's Grecian gold, and chalk for the swan, but you don't really need that. You could just use white. But then all of the rest of the flosses are just pulled from stash based on the DMC list. And I am very much enjoying it. We'll have to see if this one takes me just as long as the fox took me. Like I said, it's 16 count Aida, so I'm doing 2 strands over 1 to keep it consistent across the patterns. And I really love them. They're so sweet. So this is going to be day 4. So today I'm filming on May 5th. So I think this is going to be my day 5 Mania, because I want to put in pieces that I'm very excited to get done. So I really want to finish my first Artsy Housewife so I can start my next one. So this is Golden Delicious by Artsy Housewife, so I'm going to work on this today. It is on this really cool piece of rosy mauve with strong modeling, but I chose the side of the fabric. This is just something that I overdyed. I chose the side of the fabric that had a little bit less of that, inspired by some of the stitching I saw on her page with a dark purple background. So I am using, I think maybe a few of the called for flosses, but most of them are from my stash if I didn't have the called for. And so I love it. So I'm excited to put this one into my Mania list and see how far we can get on her this year. So usually in plans, I draw some random projects with you to stitch on, but I will be just working exclusively off this list. So we're here at Golden Delicious, and then I have a spot to put some previous whip in there, and then summertime, and summertime is actually almost done. It's really close. So I have put in the stuff that I still hadn't finished from last year, and the blanks is where I can add my whips that I want to plug into these spots. So if there's any of my whips that you love, you want to see go in here, please comment down below. So of course we've still got my Mirabilia coming up after summertime. Dutch Steps of Life, Halloween Quaker, Hello Halloween from Sue Hillis, Oh Joyous Day, Bethlehem from Imaginating, Vintage Christmas Alphabet from Jan Hicks Creates, and A Year of Celebrations. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of my previous whips, and I'm just kind of deciding as I go, but I can't wait to see what you guys think I should do. So actually, my last year list is here. So in day 5, I had Patchwork Printemps. So I could do the Patchwork Summertime that a lovely subscriber sent me, and I could plug that in for tomorrow, but I remember, I don't know, I'm still thinking about that one. I'm going to look at the list of flosses and see what I have. So yeah, I think I'll be referring to this, and if it's in a series, I'll maybe do like the next one. Oh, Lavender Farm is not on this year's list because I think I have decided that I am going to put her on hold. I just am never excited when it comes out, even though it's all the purples. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm stitching it on a big, open, loose weave, 2 over 1, and it's all DMC, and I like DMC, but I also like to throw in like a little bit of other stuff too to make it more interesting. So I think she was in number 12, but I took her off. She's going to be taking a little break. So these are my plans, and now we're going to talk about books. So that's all the stitchy related chatting, and so if you aren't interested in books, then I will see you back in 2 weeks with my next update. But now let's chat about books. So I have been reading a lot. I listen on my Audible account, and then I can listen while I am stitching. I can listen while I'm working. I work from home. I have a nail polish brand where I manufacture and conceive and mix and do all the shipping and everything. And so it's really good for me to have something that I'm listening to that I don't need to direct my eyes to. So audiobooks are so great for that. I'm looking to see what books we talked about last time. So I don't want to... Okay. So it looks like last time I had read or was just starting the first Will Trent book. I have since then gotten to the 4th one, and I am very much enjoying them. Will Trent is a really likable character. He's very different. And he has gone through a lot of stuff, and I just haven't ever read a book where the main character has his particular just has his situation. So it's really interesting to read. He works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and it's a different mystery every book, but you're also you're building on all of these characters. So I really like that. So far I'm definitely enjoying those. In between reading those, I was reading a book with my brother called Legend Born by Tracy Dion. It's not really a King Arthur retelling, but the book does a lot with the King Arthur legend, and it is a fantasy. I would say it's a young adult fantasy. There's some language in the book, but no other adult content besides that. And it takes place in a college. I've been reading a lot of books that take place in college right now. And it's just like really fast action-packed. Like, you're never sitting there being like, oh, this is just a long description of stuff. When am I going to get to action? No, it's constant. So it's really good. I highly recommend if you're looking for a new fantasy series. There are 2 books out so far, so Oliver and I are going to read the next one. We just haven't started it yet. So when I was reading that, I was also reading My Cousin Rachel with my friend Leilani, and that is by Daphne du Maurier. Both of these 2 books came highly recommended to me. This is the same author who wrote Rebecca and The Birds, both adapted by Alfred Hitchcock in 2 very famous films. And then she also wrote My Cousin Rachel. This is about a young man on his estate in the UK. I think it takes place around 1900, maybe 1890. And it's a murder mystery, but it's also psychological and a really fun read. So if you liked Rebecca, you will like this one. So we read that, and it was really good. I think Legendborn, I would give it like a 4-star, and maybe 4.5 even. The narrator was really good. So, and My Cousin Rachel, probably like a 4-star. Then we started reading The It Girl by Ruth Ware, and this is, oh, I forgot, before that we were reading In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. It was for free on my Audible account, so that was nice, by Ashley Winstead. This one I also had in a list of books that I wanted to read. Somebody had put a thriller recommendation YouTube video up, and I wrote down a bunch of things, and this was on that list. So I was like, oh, this is for free, let's read it. And this is about these 5 friends from college that come back to their 10-year college reunion, and one of their friends had been murdered in college, and but the person who they had suspected, which was also one of their friends, was exonerated, and so they still don't know who the murderer is. And at the reunion, it's all like coming about, but you're constantly jumping back and forth from the past to the present tense, and you're constantly suspecting everybody. Not even the main character is a likable character. So everybody is super flawed, everybody has issues that they're dealing with and could possibly be the murderer, so it's very interesting. So I give that one a 4-star as well. And then we also started The It Girl, and this is very similar in the premise. However, the characters are a lot more likable in this book. You're not meant to dislike them. This book is by Ruth Ware, so it also deals with college friends, and one of their group of friends was murdered when they were in college, and then this is like 10 years later or so, and the person who was convicted of the crime recently died, and the people in the group are kind of like re-looking into things and trying to figure out if he was actually guilty. And yeah, I really like it too. It's like similar in the idea kind of to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but a very different feel, although it does also jump back and forth in time. So I have only like 2 hours left of that book, so I will be discovering the conclusion very soon. So looks like that is all I read since the last time we had an update. So hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you're reading down in the comments below. And that is going to be it for this week's update. I hope you've been having lots and lots of stitchy time. And I know this is a really crazy time of year for everybody that has kiddos at home still, because everybody's trying to finish up all their school projects. There's all the dance recitals and the sports events and all the crazy stuff. But I hope you do get some stitchy time. I will see you back in 2 weeks, and thank you for subscribing to the channel, those of you who are subscribers, and I will see you back very soon. Take care. Bye.